Hi, and welcome back to BizDev Weekly, the business development show. I'm here with Chris Hamilton in studio. Welcome back, Chris.
Thanks for having me, Kersten.
So today we're going to talk about how to leverage email newsletters. Chris, why don't you give us kind of the high level on the idea?
Yeah, absolutely, Kersten. Well, obviously, you and I are big fans of leveraging email newsletters, email marketing. Both terms can be used together as the same thing. It is one of the highest ROI marketing tools that you can use. I believe one of the stats I saw was for every dollar you spend, typical return on investment is well over $40. That is a tremendous return on investment, and it's very low cost to actually do an email newsletter. Simply, if you have a bunch of names, if you have an email program like an Aweber or a MailChimp, Constant Contact, a lot of this stuff is just your own time that you put into creating that newsletter and sending information out and driving people back to your website. One of the things that I like about an email newsletter is also the fact of, after the fact, you can see who has been looking at what information that you've included on your newsletter. And it's done a couple of different ways. It's done through putting hyperlinks on your newsletter, and programs like MailChimp will actually show you the click-throughs or where people were actually going onto your newsletter as well, so you can see that sort of stuff. So I think, Kersten, what we should talk about is just a bit of a process. Is one is get a list, 2 is create content, 3 is to send it out, and 4 is to follow up if you need be, and that is optional. But the first thing about getting a list is I'm a big fan of put something on your website and give some information away in exchange for a name and an email. But another way you can do this is anyone that you meet with or anyone you know, you can actually ask them, can I put you on my email newsletter? And I started sending one out that's based around friends that I have in Calgary, and I use some of the clients that I'm working on with special offers that I send out to them on a monthly basis. And all I do is I just ask people, can I put you on my newsletter as I send out on a regular basis? Or the other side too is you can go into LinkedIn if you want and find people's emails off there. So that's how you start building the list. Second thing is creating content. So you need to create something that is useful or valuable for people to consume, or they will unsubscribe from your email newsletter. And so you have to really put yourself in the shoes of people that you're targeting. This is why I use deals from my clients, because who doesn't like to get a deal? So that's one of the reasons why I use that aspect of it. My other newsletter, what I do is I do a rehash of each blog post that I had each week to drive people back to my website. So there's another way of actually doing that. The third point is then just getting that information out and sending it. It's the simplest thing possible. Just there's a send button on there, and once the information comes back, you can actually see what's going on with that information. You can see who opened it, who didn't open it, and make a plan to have some follow-up there. For example, people that opened up your newsletter and clicked on links, you can find out what they were clicking on and have a subsequent piece of information that would go out to them to try to entice them to come in and purchase something or engage you in some form. What I often do is I will send a newsletter out. If I get a 30% open rate, I know 70% of the people didn't actually look at my newsletter. So I'll wait a week or two, and then I'll just segment that list to that group, and I'll send it to the people that didn't open it, and I'll get the same sort of open rate, about a 30%. So this is a good way to get myself to 40 to 50% open rate on my newsletters. And as I say, last but not least, is what is that follow-up process? You just need to put some thought around how you want to follow up with people as it relates to newsletters. So, I use it every day. Kersten uses it quite a bit too.
Well, and the good news is that it doesn't have to be very time consuming. It sounds like you got to create a bunch of content, but really there's many different forms of content that are already available to you, either through your own archives of information that you've sent out years ago. A lot of it's still relevant. You can still put it back into circulation, essentially. And the process isn't complicated either. There's so many great tools available to us nowadays that kind of simplify that whole process and automate it for you.
Last but not least, the one thing we do want to talk about, whatever you do, do not just take a whole bunch of names and put them in your Microsoft Outlook or whatever email program you're using and send information out to people, because your internet service provider will blacklist you and shut you down on that. And then you have to plead and beg with them to come back online. Use a reputable service. Aweber is one, MailChimp's one, Constant Contact's one. There's numerous of them out there. Those are kind of three of the big guys. Vertical Response as well. Those are the guys that you want to take a look at, and very easy to use. And the reporting that comes off the back end is just phenomenal on that stuff. If you want to figure out how to do it, by all means, feel free to contact us. The information will be at the very end of the video here.
Yep. And contact us for any questions. Feel free to ask. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Kersten Kloss, and Chris Hamilton in studio here. See you next time.